Welcome to Signature Forecourts and the inaugural showcase runway event for Innovate LTC. It's John Reinhardt, the President, CEO of the International Center for Long-Term Care Innovation. We feel at the center that innovation is a show-me activity, so today we welcome Therapeutic Industries and their table, The Transformer, to Louisville, Kentucky as a new way that therapy, exercises, and therapists can actually benefit the quality of care and the quality of life for the global aging population. We thank you for your interest, and again, we thank you for coming to the event.
I'm going to stand right here during the whole presentation because it's the coolest spot in the room. Okay, this is like I'm in a refrigerator, and I love it. Well, let me start by introducing myself. My name is Laszlo Bayer, and this is my associate, Chris LaHude. Chris is our mechanical engineer, and he's really the mind that stays up at night and says, what else can we do? So he's done a fantastic job and is responsible for a lot of what you see here today. We actually started about 3 years ago, and I met a gentleman by the name of Edward Estrada, who was a CODA. Everybody know what a CODA is? Okay, it's a assistant physical therapist, kind of. There we go. That's a CODA, Certified Occupational Therapy Assistant. So during the course of his career, he's been in the field for about 25 years. So during the course of his career, he was asked to build different types of apparatus to help the physical therapists treat their patients. So over the course of about 12 years, he came up with this idea of having something that had a back support that would provide passive support to the patients when they needed a valuable rest break. So instead of having another physical therapist prop the patient up from behind, which required two, he came up with just something that supported the patient. So I got involved and I said, Eddie, this is great. Let me see if anybody else has got anything like this. Well, as I did the research, I found that the therapy mat industry hasn't changed in about 100 years. I mean, the only innovation they had about 30 years ago was to have it go up and have it come down. That was it. So shortly after that, I went to Chris. And I said, Chris, what is it that we can do to separate ourselves from everybody else in this market? So we put our heads together, and we now have a high-low mat. We have transfer bars. We have parallel bars. We have a standing frame. And as you might see, we have the ultimate transformer, right? Because it does a lot. So that's a little bit of a background in that. This particular product that you see here has been out for about a year or so. And so we've had some great success on the West Coast because that's where we're from. So we wanted to really be diligent with the resources that we have. As being an entrepreneur, an entrepreneurial company, you really have to watch the kind of resources you have and only spend money when it's absolutely necessary. So I've moved up from McDonald's now, and Chris lets me eat at Cracker Barrel. So we have... It's a joke. Okay. So...
You're not bending the cost curve.
Okay. So at any rate,
don't give the innovation too many ideas.
All right. I won't. So it's important to realize what resources you have and where to apply those resources. Where's the most important place to put that money? And what we decided early on was to put that money into R&D, right? So we wanted to do that, and the result of that is that we believe we have the Rolls-Royce in the industry. As you will see, there is nothing else like this piece of equipment available today anywhere. So, are we ready to start? Yes. Okay. Now, I may start to perspire a little bit as I do this, so please bear with me. There's a few towels here that will be thrown at me as I start to sweat real badly. Okay, so this is a therapy mat table, right? It's 4x7, doesn't take up a big footprint, and you can do regular therapy mat activities on here all day long. However, you'll notice that there is a hand control. The hand control controls all of the functions that the table provides. So if I'm working with a patient, we're just doing some sitting balance and the patient starts to fatigue, I can just go ahead and raise this backrest instead of calling somebody over to help me. I'm going to raise this up with a wonderful Linac actuator. And I had to throw that in there. Okay. They're buying dinner tonight, so I have to say something. All right, so here we are. So here we are now. I've got the passive support, correct? I didn't require another therapist. And when I'm ready to continue my mat activities, I can remove the passive. I can remove the passive support, right, and just continue on. So one of the real considerations when working on a mat is transfers. You're not going to be able to use this product without transferring the patient onto the mat, correct? So, where do most injuries occur? Injuries occur during a transfer. Is that not right? That's the most critical time when you're working with the patient, either working from a wheelchair or working from a Hoyer lift or working from a gurney or a Barton chair or whatever it may be. So what we decided to do was to make that transfer safer for both the clinician and the patient. So the first thing we did was develop a transfer bar. It literally stores underneath the table. You pull it out, rotate it 90 degrees, and see that little red handle thing there? It's extremely easy to maneuver that, by the way. Okay, boom, that's locked into place. So now when you bring a patient over in a wheelchair, and let's just for the sake of argument, it's going to be a pivot transfer, right? So now you can involve the patient in their own transfer. They've got something to hold on to instead of your arm over here, right? So you become more of a coach. So if the wheelchair is over here with a patient, you simply can have them stand, rotate them over, and sit them on the elevated seat. The reason that's elevated is because we want to protect the clinician's back from having to lower them all the way down to the surface. This way, they don't even bend their back. It's here, here, and then once they're on here, then you simply lower them onto the surface. This is especially important when you have a patient who has a spinal cord issue, hip issue, whatever, or they're just big. Okay, and they're just going to plop themselves down. So this allows you to do that. Now, the cool thing is when you're done with your mat activity and you need to transfer that patient off the mat back into the wheelchair, what you do then is you raise them up. You don't pull them up. Raise them up into a 3/4 or 45-degree position. Now they can easily stand up and be pivoted back into the wheelchair. Okay, does that make sense? So now what we're doing is we're doing a couple of things. We're protecting the clinician, right? These guys are America's most endangered species. They are. In reality, they are. You know that the nursing population is going to be cut in half in another, what, 5, 10 years maybe? So clinicians are very, very important. So we want to protect them because if they get hurt, right, then they can't provide the kind of quality care at 100% if they're working in pain. So this is a primary concern to us, this population. Now, we've got this one bar, right? So we just said, well, good things come in twos. So, good things come in twos. So, anyway, here we go. Any of you have twins? Twins? Raise your hand. Twins? Good things come in twos, am I right? Okay. So now we have another transfer bar. You'll notice that the transfer bars have numbers etched into the chrome. The reason that is that's going to allow you to set these transfer bars in an equal distance, right? So you don't have to guess. There it is. It's just right there. So now, traditionally what I've seen in skilled nursing facilities and really rehab facilities in general is that they'll do sit-to-stand activities out of the wheelchair over with the parallel bars, normally. And a lot of patients like to do this, right? Well, that's not what we want them to do. We want them to push up and then gain their balance. That's the correct way to do sit-to-stand. there's a few problems with the wheelchair and the parallel bars. Number one, the wheelchair wheels have to be locked down. And if you're going to work in a safe environment, there should be a PT or somebody from the staff behind the wheelchair. Then you have to have another person in front of them to make sure that they're not going to fall. Well, doing sit-to-stand here allows you to work independently in a really safe environment. So now the patient can do sit to stand, and they have something to hold on to. Now let's say the patient can't stand. Let's say they can't make that transition from a 90-degree here. Okay, I'm going for a ride. Okay, so we bring them up to about a 45-degree. Can you raise the table just a little bit for me? Okay, just the table. There we go. So now we can assess, can they stand from this position? Much easier, right? Much easier to do. So what we want to do is we want to be able to give the patients tasks that they can complete, that they don't have to struggle with, because it's going to give them hope that, hey, I stood up today. Okay, maybe not at 90 degrees, but I was able to do this, right? Sit to stand, sit to stand. As they progress and they get stronger, we lower the assistance we give them ever so slightly. Now, I don't know if you've noticed this. There are digital displays in the front here. So now we can chart exactly what angle we had that seat at where they stood up. The same thing with the height of the table and the seat back. We can chart all of this information. And that documentation is going to become more important as time goes by because you've got to show progress. If you don't show progress, you're not going to get reimbursed. So anyway, so there you have it. We've got this whole thing here, all right here. You don't have to transfer them over to the parallel bars. You got them on the mat. You want to do some sit to stand, you do some sit to stand. If you want to do some standing balance, you can do some standing balance. Here's the other thing. Okay, that's about good. I don't think I can do it from there. All right, so if you want to assess, sorry about my stomach. All right, here we go. Okay, if you want to assess, it's jiggling. Come on, you all have stomachs. If you want to assess core strength, right? Can someone tell me what the backrest degree is right now? It'll say, what is it? 68. So this is at a 68-degree angle right now. Okay, I can do it at 68. Okay, so that wasn't too bad. Okay, where are we now?
61.
All right, I did that okay. All right, a little more. Okay, good. Okay. Okay, right there. I think I got it. All right, okay. So, again, we're working with patients that have, trunk issues, core issues. And what I wanted to show you is that you can literally find a baseline ability, right? And if the patient can't do it at all, let's say they can't, they can use the bars to pull themselves up. We want them to achieve a goal so they feel they've accomplished something. Okay? It's called hope, right? It's called you did it. Okay? We're your biggest cheerleader. Come on, tomorrow you're going to work even harder, right? We've stood patients that have, as mentioned earlier, that have only stood for 30, 40 seconds. We have them up for 5 minutes. And it's amazing. Amazing to see their countenance change because they're not being supported by another human being. They're being supported by a piece of equipment. And they feel safer to boot. So, if we bring this up. Now, we've got, this is, I think, is a terrific invention. We've patented it. The auto industry stole it from us. But we're going to let them have it. We invented some seat belts. Okay?